Peace family, Vie Darling, the Cosmic Queen, and your intergalactic interpreter. And this is the cosmic tea for the next 5 days. The energy that I'm picking up with the Judgment, Nine of Swords, the Fool in reverse, Wheel of Fortune, Seven of Cups, Page of Wands in reverse, and at the bottom of the deck, the Star, is that you need to believe in yourself. You need to believe in your power. You know that you have a higher calling. You know that you are out of this world. You know that what is going on in the mundane is not indicative of what is real for you, because you are someone of a higher consciousness, and this puts you ahead of the crowd, honestly. And you are meant to be a leader of people. People look up to you. People admire you. All right, whether or not you want to believe that that is the truth, and the things that you're going through right now are trying to crack you open to get past that hard exterior that you have developed so that the light can shine through. Because I'm gonna read this scripture, and it is, sorry, it's taking me a little bit to get to it. Matthew chapter 5 verses 14. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do people light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before the masses, that they may see your good works and glorify your Creator which is in heaven. Okay, I'm reading this from a non-patriarchal, decolonized perspective, but what I want to be clear on with your Father which is in heaven is that this is speaking of divine consciousness. It is speaking of divine consciousness. It is speaking of a higher vibration, a higher frequency, a higher level understanding. And I saw 227 on the timer. 234 is now on the timer. You have to stop being afraid of how different you are. Stop being afraid of how much you stand out, and start seeing that as your superpower. Okay, people may not be able to understand you, your purpose, your ways of being, your ways of seeing, your perspective, your perception, and they aren't meant to. You are meant to. Okay, what I'm picking up here with Judgment, Nine of Swords, the Fool in reverse, the World. You've already done so much hard work. Look, we get the King of Wands. You have already done so much hard work. You have graduated to a new level of understanding, and it's time for you to start acting like it. It's as if you have one foot in the past and one foot in not even just the present, or not even just the future, but the present. You have to understand that if you are in the present and you are still operating from the past, which to me, with especially the Page of Wands in reverse and the Seven of Cups, feels like self-limiting beliefs. If you are operating from self-limiting beliefs that developed because of what have you in the past, these past narratives and past karmic timelines, then you are going to recreate those. But if you have your foot in the present and your foot in the future, you are consciously co-creating a future for yourself that is aligned with what you know to be true of who you are, and you are working towards your destiny, and you are actively manifesting that in the material world, then that's what you're gonna get back. But honestly, right now it feels like, you need to continue moving towards that destiny. Every step that you take towards it, it takes 100 steps towards you. The universe is going to continue to reward you. Even if you don't see it, you don't feel it happening in the present moment. Saw 444. You are divinely protected. You are divinely cared for. You are divinely cherished. You need to have more compassion and empathy for yourself. You need to look at your past and your karmic behaviors from a perspective of understanding, like a trauma-informed perspective, because I get the sense that you're being so hard on yourself. You're so afraid to move forward. The Hanged Man and the Nine of Wands in the reverse position. You're so afraid to move forward because you're so afraid to look at you're also afraid to look at yourself, but you're so afraid to move forward because you are afraid of making mistakes. You are afraid of messing it up. You're not going to mess it up. You've already learned your karmic lesson. It is time for you now to get free, okay? You have to continue walking out of bondage. You have to continue walking out of, Spirit is saying, walking out of Babylon. That's what you have to continue doing. So what I am encouraging you to do this week in the next 7 days is, one, there was a trickster energy that was coming up, and I do feel like there are energies, entities, and expressions of existence that are working to cause your demise, but that doesn't mean that they're going to succeed. I want you to have faith in yourself that you have learned your lessons. You know, be discerning. You are no longer the fool, so you don't have to continue thinking like, I don't know what to do. Yes, you do. And if you feel like you don't know what to do, intuitively, instinctually, pray and meditate and ask for guidance and wisdom. And when you meditate, the answers will come to you when you get quiet enough. But definitely, you got to stop worrying. An answer to your problems is presenting itself. All right, so we've already established that, you know, you are, I want to get the shadow energy of what's going on, because I do feel like there's a lot of heaviness with your shadow, a lot of density that's ready to be cleared. There is a trickster energy that is working against you. This energy, it is showing up as haters. It is showing up as negative self-talk. It is showing up as doubt. This energy is showing up as, self-limiting beliefs, that you don't want to move forward because you are just seeing yourself. Maybe people talked shit about you to you. Maybe you had word curses put on you when you were young. But whatever it is, it's just keeping you from seeing yourself as the star. It's keeping you from stepping into your prosperity, into your power. And I'm hearing proximity. You are, one, thinking too much about the material circumstances that you are witnessing and experiencing right now. And you need to understand that this is just still more of those old timelines. You already are at a higher level of consciousness with the Judgment card here. Okay, and let me show you what we're working with. You're already at a higher level of consciousness. Actually, let's see if we can get this to stay up here, so that we can fit more in here. There, that's better. You're already operating at a higher level of consciousness. You are already at a mastery level in terms of conscious co-creation of your experience. You've already championed this karmic lesson. Okay, but the reason that the Emperor is not out here is because you are still struggling, particularly with your cups, is what I'm picking up. Okay, particularly with your cups. I feel like you are allowing other people's perceptions and opinions, their beliefs, what have you, their projections, really. You're allowing other people's projections to have too much sway over you in this time. And it's really important that you let that go. You have to be your own sovereign. You have to be your own personal authority. And the way that you know that you can trust your personal authority is, we get the Hanged Man in reverse. Motion is going to come into your life. Movement is coming into your life in the next 5 to 7 days. We get the Page of Wands in the reverse again. I'm going to put this back into the deck. We get the 10 of Pentacles. Yep, motion is going to come into your life. Movement is going to come into your life when you accept that you have already learned your lesson. The King of Pentacles just popped out here. When you accept that you already have learned your lesson. Okay? You don't have to keep going over and over and over. And if you look back with the Wheel of Fortune in the reverse, if you look back at your past experiences up until now, if you're basing all of your self-perception on who you were before you had control over your life, so this has to do with childhood trauma, okay, before you turned 18 years old, before you turned 21 years old, okay, if you're basing all of your self-worth, your perception of self, your value on who you were back when you didn't have any say, then you've got it all wrong. When you finally got agency and power in your life, what did you do with it? For some of you, you chose to, obviously a lot of the time we continue recreating those same toxic patterns, those same karmic patterns, let's say, because, you know, when we talk about karma, yes, it has to do with action, and yes, we may have done certain things, but when we talk about karma, it can be ancestral stuff. It can be because we were reacting from a place of ignorance because we were a child and we didn't know any better. And over time, we learned better. And a lot of you decided to move forward and do better and be better. And those of you who chose to do that, why are you not focusing on that? You used your agency and autonomy to learn, to become wise, to amass spiritual wealth in your wisdom, and to change. Whereas others, some of you, maybe, some of you chose to continue being karmic. If you chose to continue being karmic, then yeah, that's all that you have to judge yourself by, because, you know, we are the sum, our character is the sum of our actions. But we can still have compassion for those versions of us, because usually that's a trauma response. But with the King of Wands here, coming out here with Judgment, with the World, and 8 of Pentacles in reverse over the Fool in reverse, followed by, or preceding, the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, what I'm picking up is you are somebody who you already learned the lesson. You did the hard work, and you're just refusing to give yourself credit for it. You're refusing to see yourself as an adept, as someone who has stepped into a place of mastery. You're over-identifying with your shadow. You're over-identifying with the wounded aspects of who you were, not who you are. Let that version of you pass on. Let them move into a state of respite and rest. Stop belaboring them. Allow them to transition and release them back onto the unconditionally loving source from which we came. Like I said, I perceive of this as like, some of you, it's like with the word proximity, some of you, it's like your friends who you hang out with, who you considered your friends. And it doesn't mean go and start a conflict with people. It actually simply means just understand your consciousness shift to just understanding, like, those are not my folks, those are not my partners, those are not my friends, they are not my people. They were maybe once my soul tribe, but I have elevated out of that. And is it even the soul tribe? I mean, yeah, at a certain point in time, but you chose to continue progressing and advancing and evolving, and they didn't. And you know what, with this, they are actively choosing not to progress. They are actively choosing to not do the shadow work required for them to be able to move forward and advance and become the people that they are meant to be. They are jealous of you, perhaps. They are holding you back. They are hindering you, and they are being used by the adversary. They are being used by this trickster spirit, and I am hearing demonic. So some of them, you know, some of them are embodying being ridden by Shaitan. Some of these people, they don't want you to move forward because they're not willing to move forward. They're not willing to do what it takes. And the fact that you're doing that, your light, let's look back with this star card here, your light is agitating their shadow. It's agitating the sentient Shaitan that is integrated into their being in the fragments of who they are. Whatever trauma they had that fragmented them, whatever entities, energies, expressions of existence began to inhabit those spaces, those shadowy parts of themselves, they're not willing to let go of. And you know, you may as well just pity them. I pity the fool. I pity the fool. But you can't, they're not your equal. They're not. They don't see eye to eye. Listen to me. If you have a baby and an adult, they are not on equal playing fields in terms of consciousness, information, ability. They are simply not. And part of the problem and your own contribution is probably that you are having expectations for, you are having unrealistic, unfair expectations for people who are not capable of seeing you, because they're not even capable of looking at themselves. They're not capable of seeing, of comprehending your perspective, because it's much higher than they're capable of experiencing. They can't understand that. It's like it's as if, you know, you speak 5 languages and they barely even have a grasp on one. You are fluent in speech, hearing, and reading 5 languages, and they can't even read the one language that they know. That's what it is. And I'm not saying this is a worthless human being. God doesn't love them. They're not of value in the collective, because everybody is of value. Everybody serves a purpose. But I am saying, you know, you have to just be real about people's capabilities. And are they able to really be there for you? I tell 1111 on the timer, no, they're not. They will never be able to match you, because some of you are of sacred bloodlines, some of you are supernatural beings, and you are just slumming it, essentially. No offense to anybody, but you're slumming it because you want to be quote unquote normal so badly. You don't want to stand out. You don't want to be set apart from the crowd. Let me read this verse to you one more time. Matthew chapter 5 verses 14 to 16. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do people light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before the collective, that they may see your good works and glorify your Creator, which are in heaven, or which are in all things, truly. You were blessed with this level of consciousness. This gives you power that others do not have. If you have a bicycle, you're simply not going to be able to go at the same speed as a Maserati, as a Formula One race car. You're simply not. So if there is a need for someone to expediently reach a destination for the collective benefit, why the fuck would you send someone on a bicycle when you have a Formula One car there? That lacks wisdom. That is foolishness. So really, what you do when you play small and you act like you're really not that bitch when you know that you are, really, what you're doing is a disservice to the collective. You're harming people who could benefit and be liberated by you, because when we stand in our authentic truth, unapologetically, we give others around us who have access to us, who witness us, the permission to do the same. Sometimes people don't even know that they can be who they want to be until they see someone doing it. I knew that something was off with me, but I didn't have the words for it in terms of my queer identity. Happy Pride, by the way, if you're watching this when I'm recording it. I knew that I didn't resonate with the people around me. I knew that I just was like, I was just different. But I didn't have the words for it. I didn't identify with being bisexual. Yeah, some of that was like internalized homophobia. I didn't identify with that. But even though I knew about the idea of being pansexual from being like, since I was like 14 years old, 13, maybe even 12, probably 13 though, I just didn't resonate. I didn't get it. You know what I mean? And it wasn't until I developed a consciousness around gender that it started to make more and more sense to me. But it really didn't hit until I was in a queer community around queer and trans people who did not identify within the confines of a gender binary, that I began to understand, because I need it to be modeled to me. Monkey see, monkey do. And finally, it wasn't enough for me to have words and concepts. I needed to see it. I needed to feel it. I needed to experience it before I was able to understand that I am a non-binary identifying person. How can I identify with something that I don't believe in because it's not real? The gender binary is not real. Even the sex binary technically is not real biologically. Intersex people do exist. So how I personally cannot claim something that I know is not real. I can't do that. It doesn't sit right with me. And that is probably a big part of why I didn't identify as bisexual, because to me, my sexuality is a spiritual thing, and I'm not interested so much in the vessel, rather the spirit. And frankly, I'm going to be real with you. I'm not attracted to people who are not supernatural. So mundanes, I'm not attracted to them at all, period. It's an energy, it's an anointing, it's a spirit on a body that is attractive to me. There's nothing that they can do for me because they cannot fulfill me, because they cannot perceive of my consciousness or my experience. Someone who doesn't believe in magic, what are we going to do together? My whole life is about magic, mysticism, and spirituality. So what the fuck are we going to do? I'm going to have to constantly lower myself and cut off parts of myself. And that's going to make me feel like dying. And that's going to make me, trigger warning, that is going to activate unaliving ideation within me. And I'm not willing to do that. You know what I mean? Because I don't deserve to have to experience life like that. Nobody does. And that's fine for all of them, but it's not fine for me. Okay? And I say this all to say, people living their most authentic truth around me, and us being able to celebrate their lives, to celebrate their experiences together as a collective community, that is what gave me the permission, not only the permission, but the permission to even understand who I was, but also like the understanding of like what was possible for me. And thank God for those people who had radical self-love and radical self-acceptance enough to stand in the truth of who they were. And when you do that, you automatically become a master co-creator of your universe. You don't even have to know any of the universal principles or laws. You don't have to know anything about manifestation. I have been a student of manifestation, which is since I was like 16 years old, the summer before my senior year of high school. So yeah, I was 16. And that's how long I've been studying this stuff. I'm 29. It's 13 years. Actually, it's 17 because I'll be 30 this year. And then that is why I can say without a shadow of a doubt that I have mastered co-creation. And that's why I don't use the word manifestation, because that is of a level of consciousness that I have surpassed. And you cannot be a master co-creator of your universe if you're not willing to do the shadow work, if you're not willing to look at the reality of a thing, look at the reality, look at the truth of who you are and what you are, where you're at, who others are around you, and authentically stand in your truth. You know, you can know all of the book learning, but if you can't do that, you will never be a master. You will always be stuck at the fool, because you're not willing to take that leap of faith. You're not willing to release your inhibitions and move with faith that the universe will catch you as you step off of this cliff into the great unknown, which is a card in this deck. Okay, we get the King of Wands and the King of Pentacles, but like I said, the only cups on the board is the Seven of Cups. You got to stop worrying about what other people think about you and what they got to say about you. At the end of the day, I never ever thought that my practice, when I still identified as a witch, it's complicated. I was at a certain level of consciousness where witch was a fitting word. Okay, when I was younger in my practice, I never thought that I would have a public facing practice. I had a personal practice. My private practice is working with my clients individually, one-on-one. And my public practice is this content that I create for consumption. But my personal practice is what I do on my own for myself. And I never thought that people would ever know, because I felt, and it was unsafe for me to be seen. But, you know, my higher powers wanted me to be seen. And then also, when I went through my grand awakening and my first initiation, my grand awakening, as it were, my dad told me, yes, all of this is true, and you're not wrong, but you can't tell anybody because they'll just think that you're crazy. And he was trying to protect me from persecution. Okay? And thankfully I had my dad. But the reason why I have to do this public practice is because most of you don't have my dad. Most of you don't come from a lineage where having supernatural abilities is normal. Most folks that I've experienced, most of the time, I'm the first person who's ever told them exactly what was going on with them without them telling me. And I'm the first person that they admit to that, yes, this is exactly what's been going on my whole life. And I thought I was going crazy. And I thought I would be alone forever. I had to put my safety and my reputation, my public image on the line for the collective. And that is what we are all being called to do, because with great power comes great responsibility. And, you know, we think about power as like it giving us privileges, and in a way it gives us privileges, but your power is also what you are blessed with. It's your anointing for how you're meant to be of service to the collective. First of all, if I just sat here and I denied my power, I would go insane, literally. If you have psionic capabilities and you don't learn how to use them, and you don't learn how to wield them, if you don't master your abilities, you will definitely go insane. And whether or not that means that you end up in an institution or you become a sociopath who uses your powers to manipulate and harm and exploit people, that's your journey, that's your story. But you will become insane, however that expresses itself. and you will live a miserable life. Period. That's how it goes. Without a shadow of a doubt. We're not meant to be in isolation. We are meant to find our collectives. We are meant to find our communities. But we can only do that when we liberate ourselves from isolation, thinking, I don't deserve to exist in the world, so I must hide this part of myself and pretend to be someone I'm not. Happy Pride once again. You ought to be celebrated in every aspect of who you are, including the traumatized parts of you, including the wounded parts of you, including the parts of you who have caused harm. And no, we're not celebrating the harm that you caused, but we're celebrating the accountability that you took and the atonement process that you went through and the wisdom to evolve into a higher version of yourself. And if you haven't done that, it's time to do it. This is why you might not trust yourself, because you know that there's work to be done that you're not doing. And I get the sense that a lot of the people that I'm reading for have been doing the work. And yes, there might be stuff that you need to admit to and look at holistically with love, grace, and kindness, understanding that you are unconditionally loved. There is someone who something happened to you when you were a child. I'll tell y'all this. The first time, I've said this before, the first and only time I did a reading for my mother, tarot reading. I had read her chart before, but not for her. I read her chart on my own. The first and only time that I've done a tarot reading for my mother, she said to me at the end, everything from your childhood makes sense. Everything makes sense now. And I'm saying this because I just had a flashback to a memory I had from my childhood. And that memory feels like Halloween. It may not have been Halloween. It was a day that my sister and we went to a Montessori school when we were very little. And we did a play at our school of stone soup. And there's just something very strange about that day. I know that there were dimensions collapsing in on themselves, and like there was a convergence on that day, though I don't know what exactly happened. And I will also say, as when I was a child, I just had a lot of terrible experiences because of my innate abilities. But some of you people may have thought that you were so strange and so weird and such a freak, and you may have been alienated and you may have been othered, but you stood apart. You stood apart not as a pariah, but as a star. Some of you, those people othered and alienated you, because they didn't understand you. So it is what it is. Honestly, when I look at the people who alienated and othered me, I'm like, yo, you're a basic bitch. That's really what it comes down to. You know what I mean? I'm beyond global. I'm universal. And what are you? You're a local yokel. I'm not a towny ass bitch, so I'm not pressed on it. I'm not trying to impress those people anymore, so I don't care. That works for them. It doesn't work for me. You know what I mean? And, even as I say that, I know I have some forgiving to do. I know I have some healing. We each have our burden that we need to release. And that for me is it, the resentment that I feel towards the people who, harmed me because they didn't understand me. And they taught me to be afraid of me as well, because I have self-knowledge now and self-understanding, right? I'll say this much. Now I see it. This is star power. What sets me apart from the rest. If you are like everybody else, you're not a star. You're not going to be a star. And if you continue to think that you're like everyone else, when you know in your heart of hearts that you are not, that you were born to shine, you continue to put yourself in jeopardy, and you continue to put yourself in perilous, dangerous situations for energy vampires, particularly of the cluster B variety, to attach themselves to you and create parasitic, exploitative relationships in which you are the one who is being exploited and harmed. And you will look at yourself and wonder, why does this always happen to me? But because you're unwilling to see your value, you won't find an answer, and it'll just keep on going, this karmic cycle. Why don't you give yourself a break? Why don't you give yourself some credit? These relationships in which you're experiencing contention at this point in time are reflective of that past karma that you gotta let go of so that you can level up. A breakthrough is coming this week. Relief is coming this week. You've got to make sure that your spiritual eyes are open to receive it and to see it. We see with our spiritual eyes. We walk by faith, not by sight. But the Fool in reverse can also represent someone who's not willing to walk by faith. Okay, so don't take the contention that you are experiencing with your current reality too personally, because ultimately really what it's telling you is that this reality is no longer for you. And if it's not comfortable, if it's not something that you like to begin with, good. That's a good thing. That's a thing to be grateful for. It's rejecting you. It's pushing you out. It's pushing you out towards your abundance, your inheritance, your prosperity, your divine counterpart. Now it's up to you to live in that frequency as opposed to continuing to put out that karmic energy that's going to just bring back more karmic situations. Okay? Maybe you need to start reframing things and accept that rejection is really God's protection and it is divine redirection. What is for you is always going to be for you, and it is coming in rapidly. It is manifesting around you. But do you have the consciousness activated? Do you have the spiritual foresight? And I'm pointing right now at my ajna, my third eye chakra. Do you have the perspective to humbly accept that truth? Maybe you need to work on a gratitude list. Maybe you need to commit to writing a gratitude list every day for the next 7 days. Because there's always something to be grateful for when you look back on your past, especially back before you were 18, back before you were 21, back before you had agency to choose in your life. Because some of you, it's like you have these hometown relationships with these local yokels, these townies. You didn't choose those people. You had no choice in the matter. You grew up next to that person. They sat beside you in 2nd grade. You're a grown-ass adult. You don't have to be in relation to people who you no longer resonate with. That was simply a matter of circumstance. The moment that I realized that certain people that I was valuing way too highly in my life were people that I genuinely would never choose to be around was a very liberating experience, because that told me that I was making the wrong choices by continuing to invest in those relationships and prioritize their wants and needs before my own. I gotta be the star in my life. I gotta be the center of my universe. I'm perceiving of this as the galactic center, the great central sun. Okay? Some of you, it's like you're like, but I don't want to move to a major city. I don't want to be a celebrity. It's not about that. You are meant to be, even if it's a local celebrity, even if it's like online, you know what I mean? There are so many influencers online who are making hella money, have financial freedom, doing exactly what they want to do, talking about exactly what they want to talk about. And I don't know who they are, but their community Hundreds of thousands of people know exactly who they are, and they mean a lot to those people. That's a universe that, you know, we exist in a multiverse together, but that's a universe that I don't know anything about, for real. But it's still valid. That's their business. That's not my business. You know what I mean? So it could be, you know, you having this like star power in your local community, or you having this star power on your online community. Maybe y'all all play it, y'all are in the same subreddit or something like that. I don't know. You know, we used to have chat rooms when I was a teenager. When I was coming up, we had chat rooms. People don't use chat rooms these days, I don't think. That's what we had. Drink a lot of water this week. Do a lot of cleansing, you know, make your shower or your bath a spiritual shower and bath, rinse off all of that energy, because I do get the sense that, like, you know, you can't be attached to by these people anymore. You're already out of their orbit. You're already out of their realm. Okay, don't even worry about that. Like, you can't be connected to, because you have this consciousness where you're like, I don't fuck with you, and I'm never gonna fuck with you again. And I will never fuck with anyone like you again. And that's not a mundane thing. It's a principle of consciousness. And there's nothing to feel bad about with this, because these people are harming you. They want you to stay small. They want you to be less than who you were meant to be. They want you to remain sick and suffering because of they're not willing to see. They don't want you to progress past them and leave them behind. Which, you know what, like, that's real, but you need to get a grip. These people are codependent. They're not self-sovereign. They cannot have interdependent relationships, and you cannot be in your sovereignty and still be in relation to them, period. And some of you have no choice but to still engage with them, and you just have to be like, you're already in your mind, you're already gone. It's like people who, like, you know, are in a relationship, a romantic relationship, and they're already like, they've already realized, yeah, I'm asking for a divorce. Yeah, I'm asking for, I'm gonna break up with this person. And they're just biding their time for whatever reason. I don't know. It's also like quiet quitting. You know, some of you, it is this too. You're just waiting for the right opportunity. With the Wheel of Fortune, I do feel like this is like about the right time presenting itself. The reason why things haven't, because you might feel like you've been doing the work, but you haven't been reaping the rewards in the material realm for whatever reason, and you need to know, and you may know this, but you may also feel like oh, I'm not getting the, oh, you already know that the timing had to be right. The planets had to be aligned in a certain way for you to be able to move on to the next level, the next stage, the next page, right? But you still may be feeling like the reason why it hasn't worked is because of something that you did wrong or something that you're not doing. That's not the case. At this point in time, do not let the material world dictate at all your perception of self or your perception of what is happening in the spiritual realm. You know, the spiritual life is not a theory. It must be lived. God is everything or God is nothing. Do you really believe in this life or not? You cannot be half in, half out. Either you believe in your calling or you don't. I know that's really hard to hear, because for me it's really hard to hear too, when I'm experiencing suffering, when I'm experiencing like truly like fucked up material circumstances. It can be really hard to believe that like my anointing is what it is, or that like, you know, what I have been promised is really going to come to me. I guess it's to say like it can be really hard to have faith, but we do, when I'm recording this, we do have Saturn and the justice degrees of Pisces, as well as Neptune at 29 degrees Pisces. And this is important to understand, because you are really being called to to consider if you really believe what you say that you believe, if you're really in your integrity, if you really do have faith, or you're going to choose to continue living in fear. You're going to continue perpetuating this same trauma and drama because of your past life karma. Do you believe in life after love is what I'm hearing? Do you believe that things can be different? Do you believe that things can change for you? Do you believe that you have power and agency to affect change in your life? Because I do feel like this trickster energy wants you to think that you will never have love, you know, that you will never have come into divine union. And we know that in this practice of cosmic wellness that I am pioneering here in the Aetherium, my spiritual sanctuary, that the divine counterpart is not just a romantic partner, but it is also your community, your friends, your business partnerships, your profession, your lifestyle, the car that you drive, the house that you live in. Do you believe in that? So Spirit is really saying this week you might feel a lot of temptation with this trickster energy out here. I'm seeing that toothy grin. So I know that this is the charlatan. They want to cast an illusion. They want to trick you into believing that something is what it isn't and isn't what it is. And that is that they don't want you to believe that you are a divinely anointed, blessed child of God. 5 of Cups, they want you to be in a 5 of Cups energy. They want you to feel overwhelmed. They want you to feel like you're drowning. Let me tell you something. You can be belabored by debt. You can be experiencing loneliness. You don't know who to trust anymore, because you've had a lot of your ops revealed to you. You've been going through betrayal left and right. Everything that you feel like you're trying is not giving the results that you'd like to see. There are a lot of delays that you're experiencing. The Emperor in reverse, they want you to feel like you are not the sovereign of your life. And this is what this 7 of Cups is telling me. You know, sending in the ops, sending in opposition. This is a lot of why. You know, as I said, pity the fool. These people, fool in reverse again. Pity the fool. They want you to not be willing to take this leap of faith and step forward. So they are manifesting in the relationships around you, the people around you. This is a final test of your faith. And it's not even really a test, it's just the fact that you are like pushing through this what is this word? Threshold, but it's not a threshold. This all has so much to do with Pisces. Membrane. I'm seeing a membrane. And it's like when your water breaks, you know, so sometimes when people are pregnant and they are like, they're meant to be delivering soon, the doctor might swipe their membrane so that they will deliver, that they'll go into delivery faster, and their water breaks, and this child starts coming through the birth canal. This is like the final push, right? But they want you to believe, they want you to stop pushing. They don't want you to believe that you can get through that membrane. And with this membrane, what it has to do with Pisces is when we're moving through the sign of Pisces, because it is about harmony and it is about divinity, it is a sign of purification. And that might sound like, oh, hunky-dory, you know, happy-go-lucky, but it's not. Because if you are riddled with shadow and you have to go through a purification process, imagine how laborious that is to be distilled from your lower base elements that you may come into being gold. So this is why we understand that Christ consciousness is alchemy. Christ is alchemy. I'm not talking about, and I feel like I have to say this. I see a lot of people who, you know, I'm just going to say this, who are part of the crystalline collective and have activated Christ consciousness, and they're talking about Jesus being their savior. Jesus was a human being. Yeshua was a human being. He was a person. No other person is your savior. Nothing in the material realm is real. As a vessel for Christ consciousness, as a vessel for Christ frequency, you know, they're a way shower. Ascended masters are way showers. They show you a way to achieve spiritual liberation. They are abolitionists in this way. What you're thinking about, what you are tapping into, that is, you know, saving you, that is your salvation rather, is Christ. And that is the reason why they don't say in the Bible, Jesus Christ, they say Christ Jesus, Christ first, when he is in Christ consciousness. And this is for the people who don't understand that the Bible is a grimoire, especially the New Testament. This is for the people who take it at face value and don't understand esoteric mysticism. They don't understand anything about magic or mysticism at all, because they're not even willing to engage with it. They don't know anything about it, but they just are like, that's my enemy, and condemn it. This is the reason why these people don't understand how to actually engage with the very powerful magical text and code that is the Bible. These people don't understand that King Solomon, one of the most revered kings of that lineage, was well learned in esoterics and mysticism and magics. There's some sort of cognitive dissonance that happens, and those people are they're caught up in a trick. They're caught up by trickster energy. That's the false matrix, or the charlatan, the false light. These people, they don't really get what's going on for real. And that's sad, and that sucks for them. You got to be aware of, like, is this person just an NPC? Is this person just a bot? Or is this someone who has actually just been, like, led astray? You know? Because those things do happen. But really, you don't even have to think about that so much. It's like, whatever's going on with them has nothing to do with you, as long as you know the truth. You know? So that's for someone, because I see a lot of this stuff online, and there are some people who, you know, they do have some truths to share. They definitely have the gift of prophecy. They definitely do, but they're still at a low level of consciousness. They haven't woken up yet, and a lot of those people never will, because they're so concerned with spiritual righteousness that is filtered through the colonial matrix and a colonial filter that you know, is frankly demonic. So yeah, these are the people who don't understand what I've said so many times, that the Christendom, the Christ domain, that energy is a crystalline marine kingdom or domain. And they're like, we're at war with the marine. It's like, that's funny because you're claiming to be of a marine domain. That's so interesting to me. And it's also important to note, like, I just personally think that it's true insanity to take anything as truth from this system that, you know, murdered, mutilated, sexually assaulted, and enslaved your ancestors, every single person on this planet's ancestors, because it is a global paradigm. That's crazy to not be able to see that they are actually the barbarians, that they are actually the heathens, that they are actually the savages for the things that were done during colonization to the indigenous people, to force them to stop practicing their religions, their spiritual vehicles, which were foundational to their cultures, so that they could be disempowered, so that they could be subjugated, oppressed and exploited. You gotta think critically, okay? You gotta be discerning who you're taking your truths from, who you're accepting information from. You need to be. And if you really think of yourself as somebody who loves Yeshua, then you gotta remember why he was, why he was an enemy of the state, who was the victim of state-sanctioned unaliving, basically lynching. He has a lot more in common with the radicals of today who fight against fascism, who are on the ground, you know, making mutual aid networks, protesting, and even sometimes rioting, because he flipped over tables and beat people. He literally beat people out of the temple. He has a lot more in common with those people than the spiritual corruption in high places. Someone needs to hear that, and some of you really need to get a grip and think critically. It's incredible to me how confused people are and how they can just read so much scripture and completely misunderstand and missee things. And these people lack sovereignty. Deeply and truly they do. So if you are somebody who is so concerned, and I will say this much, my dad is a deacon in our family church. My mom, she'll go to church 7 times a week if she can, to be very real with you. And, you know, both of them are people who are grappling with the trauma of colonization. I don't need to get too deep into that. I've spoken about this before. But there was a big reason why I was afraid to be gay. Why I was afraid to come out. Why I was afraid to come out of the quote-unquote broom closet, to have a public-facing practice, lest I be demonized and vilified even more than I already was by my community of origin. You claim to be followers of someone who preached unconditional love, but you espouse and enact and embody and engender so much hatred and abuse. And you don't stop abuse when you see it. You find justification for it and proliferate harm instead of standing up for justice, as this person who is a historical figure really did. So I want to say to anybody who, you know, is struggling with their authenticity because of these colonial structures, whether it is Christianity or whether it is, Islam or Judaism, or, this is true of all major religions. Corruption in high places, abuse of power comes as no surprise. Word to 𝗪𝗔𝗍𝗪. Whatever dominant paradigm has you afraid to be who you are, sit down and think, do I really respect the perspective of these people? I don't. I can't respect you if you abide abuse, if you are complicit and complacent in the face of harm, if you're not willing to stand up against injustice. I don't respect you because you have shown me that you do not deserve it. I don't trust you because you have shown me that you can't handle being trusted. They haven't earned it. Ask yourself, these people that you give so much power in your life, have they earned it? Or have they shown you time and again that they are unworthy of your faith, your trust? They are unworthy to have power and impact in your life. Ask yourself that. Some of you it's hard because some of you it's your family members. And you don't know how to go about navigating this. But you don't have to make any actions today. It is, as I said, about the consciousness. It is about deciding, I'm not going to listen to this person anymore because they don't make any sense. Or I'm not going to ask this person for advice anymore because I don't respect the way they live. Or, I noticed that this person gossips a lot and I'm not really I don't trust people who gossip. I don't trust this person. I don't think that this is a relationship that I can continue with. And you pray and you ask your higher power, whatever that is, even if it's the universe, if it's collective consciousness, whatever it is, that's not my business, that's yours. And if you don't know who it is, it's time for you to start figuring it out. Decide who your higher power is. Decide what your ethics are, what your integrity is, what your standards and structures are for yourself. I've been advocating for this. I always do. This is an integral part of cosmic wellness as a practice. To learn to be 5544 on the timer, to learn to be a masterful co-creator of your experience. Ask yourself, what do I do? Ask your higher power, what do I do? I can't do this anymore. Please show me what it is I'm meant to do. And you get quiet and you listen, because the ego is urgent and loud and demanding of your time and attention. But the Holy Spirit doesn't operate that way. It is quiet and awaits your readiness and willingness. Of course, sometimes our great gods, guides, and ancestors, they'll be more demanding, but the divine is quiet because the truth doesn't need to be loud. The truth doesn't need to defend itself because it speaks for itself. Trust and believe. And I'm not saying don't advocate for yourself, because some of y'all are people pleasers and you need to hear someone say that to you. I'm not saying don't advocate for yourself. What I am saying is it's time for you to deprioritize other people, places, things, institutions, ideologies that you know are not true to the reality of who you are. Each of us has a divine spark within us, and it is not true to that. And that is what is keeping you from living in your divinity and really truly being in union with your divine counterpart. That's what that is. You got to ask yourself, are you going to live this false life or not? Are you going to live in your truth and be the you that you were born to be? Because there's something that you want in this life and you know that you can have it. And you are the only one who can give it to you. Listen, that guy Yeshua, you know, you can call on an ascended master, but at the end of the day, he's not going to be the one to force you to do anything you're not willing to do. You have to liberate yourself. No one's coming to save you. Because this is a free will realm. We have to save ourselves. Because guess what? Even if someone did come, for those who are unwilling to go, you're not going to go. You really have to be willing to do absolutely anything and to go to any length for your freedom in every single moment of your life. And I understand that's a lot to ask. That's why it is an ideal. That is the North Star that you have fixed your intention towards. And being a human, you're not always going to meet that mark. Sometimes you can only do so much, but you have to set your sights on that and affix yourself to that. And I guarantee you, it will come to you. Okay? So you might have rejection after rejection after rejection. You keep going in the direction of your destiny. Because I see opportunity presenting itself this week, in the next 7 days. But you have to seize the opportunity. You have to be willing to say yes. You have to be willing to step through that threshold. And as you step through that threshold, the word osmosis comes to me whenever I deal with Piscean energy. You have to be willing to let go of that old version of yourself, that karmic version of yourself, so that you can step into the divinity of who you are, the higher version of yourself, the star. Whatever you lose by being the best version of yourself, the most authentic version of yourself, is not meant for you anyway. And you can have gratitude for the way that that relationship held you down before, and you can have gratitude for the good times and still move forward without belaboring that relationship anymore, because you're not going to get what you're looking for, point blank, period. Okay? Anyone who does not want to see you shine, and I'll put it to you this way, I'm going to give you some examples of how that shows up. Negging. They constantly remind you of the karmic behavior of your past that you no longer participate in. They always have something negative to say in response to anything that you have to say, but especially positive things. You don't trust them with information about your plans and your future because you don't believe that they have your best interest at heart deep down, even if you don't want to say that to yourself. If they're a gossip, you have to walk on eggshells around them and constantly be taking care of their baby ass feelings. That type of shit. That's what I'm talking about. That's what we're experiencing here. And the delays they're being let go of in this time because of your shifting consciousness. We have a lot of dragons here in this reading. So I will say that I do think that there's going to be a lot of dragon energy. I want you to not be afraid because I'm hearing like dragon lady. Pop your shit, bro. Pop your shit. That's the only way that you're going to be like aligned with your proper reality. Tell the truth. If people don't fuck with it, that's okay. Y'all are meant to be in different worlds. It's okay. Good luck to you in your world. Good luck to me in my world. That's all right. Everybody's living their own life. That's valid. But I'm not interested in living that in that world that's not resonant for me. Right? So even if people are like, demonizing you, vilifying you, attempting to persecute you, honestly, those people are weaker than you. They don't have the same rank as you. And I'm going to tell you what it is. They might also try to go big on big. Like, they're going to try to go big on you. They're going to try to flex on you to make you feel small. As I said, they're going to try to quote unquote humble you, when in reality what they're trying to do is humiliate you and make you feel like a peon and make you feel small. Puff that chest out and breathe that fire. Put them in their place. Let them know what it is and what it isn't. You're not about to talk to me like that. You know, if you gotta be like, I don't know who you think you're talking to, but I don't tolerate disrespect. You gotta let them know what it is. Check them. And if it ends up like, oh, now, like, you know, you check someone and it causes friction, it's not meant for you anyway. And good riddance. I really see a lot of people trying to like go big on big right now because they don't want you, they see your power on you and they know that they're weaker than you and they don't want you to see your power. And that's some destiny swapping type shit as well. So it's people who are being used to make you feel small. And this is going to manifest as like, you know, it's not necessarily that they're trying to destiny swap, but they don't want you to reach your destiny because they want you to stay in that small timeline with them. And then other people are genuinely trying to steal your destiny. They want to be you. They want to wear your skin. Envy, jealousy. I'm hearing Persephone timelines. This has to do with Scorpio. This has to do with Pluto. This has to do with Mars. Therefore, it has to do with action. Therefore, it has to do with karma. It has to do with intent as well. So this has to do with your integrity. So you might also want to look at your 10th house. You might want to look at where Saturn is. You might want to look at Capricorn. But what I will say is this. Pluto's at 1 degree of Aquarius retrograde. It's going to retrograde back into Capricorn in the coming months. I want you to remember the lesson. Don't doubt your power. You already learned your lesson. Go back and look at the, you know, the lessons, let me reverse. Play the tape forward. I'm going to put it to you like this. I have been single for a long time and I'm sick of it. Partially because I want physical intimacy. Yeah, I want companionship, but also like I really want to make out with someone and hook up with someone, period. However, I also understand the gravity of my actions and what I'm working towards, and I'm not really willing to mix up my energy and therefore my life and, you know, whatever timelines with someone who's not going to bring me closer to my goals. There are plenty of really hot people that I know that I could definitely hook up with right now if I wanted to. I could hit them up in their DM and be like, yo, what's up? What's good? You know, I could. There are many, many people, and also plenty of unattractive people as well. It's not for want of options. I have plenty of options, but they're not good options. And though the temptation is there, am I gonna go and do something that's gonna sabotage all the work that I've done? When I play the tape forward, I have already been through this many times over. I've already been with people that I'm super attracted to who are emotionally unavailable and don't want the same things that I want. I'm only going to end up hurt. It's going to be a waste of my time. I'm going to have to deal with however I feel about myself after that. And it's just not worth it for me. I'm good in my own energy. What I have coming towards me is worth waiting for. And some of you have really vibed in that energy, and I promise you, it's not everything is coming to you. And I don't know if you're single, it might not be romance. What I feel like it is it's not carnal stuff. Yeah, it's like fornication rather versus making love, right? frankly, at this point, I'm in a place where I'm like, I don't care about that. But it really is the consequences of my action and how it's going to impact my timeline, like my life. You know, this is the conscious co-creation. I can do it, but I'm choosing not to. Just because it is an option doesn't mean I should do it. You know what I mean? If there's a choice between, like, I'm lactose intolerant and, you know, there might be water, Gatorade, milk, soda, gin, and I'm dehydrated as fuck. I'm lactose intolerant. Milk is an option, but it's not a good one. I'm dehydrated. I need electrolytes. I could drink the gin. I'm also sober. So gin is an option, but it's not a good one. I'm gonna drink the Gatorade and the water because water's not enough to hydrate me if I'm dehydrated. I need the electrolytes and the vitamins and also the salt. Those are the good options. Water's a good enough option, but ultimately, I mean, with less sugar, so like sugar-free Gatorade, that is the optimal option. And I'm choosing the optimal option because I'm not the Emperor in reverse. I am the Emperor. The challenge is the cups right now. We are, when I'm recording this, in Cancer season. So, you know, the challenges are going to be around that. And it really is, you know, the evolved Cancer is nurturing, compassionate, and understanding. But they also have boundaries. They are not enmeshed. They are not codependent. And they're also not emotionally manipulative. Those are shadow sides. They know to fill up their own cup before filling up others because otherwise they will experience resentment. They have emotional intelligence that they have developed through their experiences. It's not just like, I feel so much and I don't know what to do with it. It's like, I feel so much and I know what to do with it. And I know how to use all of this feeling. I know how to direct this energy. And this is the lesson that we're learning here. So do expect that you are going to definitely, you know, there's going to be some triggered feelings I'm picking up on. There's definitely going to be opportunities for codependent dynamics to pop off. You just say no to those. There are definitely going to be, you know, people trying to get you to prioritize them and their needs. If you're not their parent, don't do that. Okay? They need to do that themselves. There are going to be opportunities for you to act from a regressed karmic version of yourself, but the inner loving parent that you are developing, you know, you have to tap into that version of yourself. What would a good mother tell you to do in this situation? A good mother doesn't enable you to be an asshole or a jackass. A good mother disciplines you. And I was talking to someone about this yesterday. There is a vast spectrum between discipline and abuse, chastisement and abuse. You don't have to be punitive in discipline or like, you know, exercising corporal punishment, rather. You don't have to do that to discipline. Discipline is a form of love, and this is why Saturn and this is why Capricorn balances out Cancerian energy. They balance one another. It's about discipline and compassion. So, you know, you can empathize. It might be like, oh, you know, this person, they've got something terrible going on. I empathize with them, but this is as much as I can do to help you because I need to fill up my own cup. That's going to take me out of balance in my life. So I can't show up for you in that way, but here's what I can do. And they might be, these trickster spirits might be trying to manipulate you into doing more. because I really feel like people are trying it. They're trying to manipulate you into feeling bad about yourself. They're trying to manipulate you into abandoning yourself. They're trying to humiliate you. They really are. They're trying to get you off your throne, myriad different ways. And you know, here's another example of compassion. I understand that you hate yourself. I understand that you're insecure. I understand that you are the way that you are. And honestly, like I said, pity the fool. I feel sorry for you. And I really pray that you get all of your needs met and you get everything that you need. Because when you get everything you need, you won't feel like you have to cause harm in this way. But I have nothing for you because I respect myself and because I don't engage in harmful dynamics. I can't engage with you, but I am praying for you, genuinely. I really want you to be the version of yourself that you are meant to be, because someone sometime, somewhere down the line hurt you, and I'm sorry that happened to you. But you're not about to poison my well. Unconditional love, and I'm gonna see you, hopefully never. I'll see you when I see you. 3, 4, 5 on the timer. Ace of Wands in reverse. We're no longer creating these relationships. We're no longer feeding our energy into these misery circuits, these karmic loops. We are taking back our power. We are repossessing ourselves. Our agency and our autonomy is ours. Okay, so don't let the mistakes of the past deter you from moving forward. Those mistakes, you transmuted into lessons. And if you haven't, you are being called to do so now. Bring that wisdom in, ask for that guidance. And if you need help with that, we can book an oracle session. We can book some self-sovereignty advising sessions. I do offer packages, and I can help you with that shadow work. I have over 20 years. That's 2 decades of, developing this practice. I have practiced my entire life. I come from shamanic lineages on both sides of my family. I have had a public facing and private practice since 2018, and I have worked with hundreds of clients, and also major companies and corporations, and done workshops for large groups of people. You can see my reviews on my Google business page. I have all 10-star reviews because I'm really that girl. And I can say that because it's true. And anyone who doesn't want you to believe that you're really that girl in whatever way that you are, when you really are, that's a hater, that's your op. And we're not playing those games, okay? Spirit, is there anything that needs to be communicated otherwise for the benefit of the collective? And this is the practical advice that is accompanying our cosmic tea for the next 7 days. I know I said 5 days, so it is 5 days, but they're also giving me like mixed messages. So I want to know what's going on with our money in the next 5 days. New opportunities in business are definitely coming through, but I do sense that there is some self-sabotaging energy and fear. Some of these opportunities for business you shouldn't trust. They're trying to manipulate you. They're not actually going to lead anywhere, but you have to be discerning. Now, some of these things, your self-sabotaging fear, self-limiting beliefs, and self-doubt may get you to feel like you shouldn't take this journey. You need to be discerning and move forward with a sense of fearlessness, okay? fearlessness. I do feel like people are praying against you in terms of your money, in terms of your progress, and in terms of your belief in yourself. They're trying to hinder your progress, and you may feel like you're not really like you're not bringing in what you need to bring in. You may feel like you're not as abundant as you need to be, but like I said, they're not. If you believe that you are as magnetic and as powerful as you really are, then you're not going to have any problems. This is really important. Like, I do sense that like the 7 of Cups here and the lack of cups on the board is, and you know, with this 5 of Cups, the Emperor in reverse, the Fool in reverse, and the Ace of Wands, you have to stop feeding into those negative ideation loops. You have to believe in your feminine power of magnetism. Yes, you can do, you can make, you can express, but it's about receiving, and you are afraid that you are not going to receive what it is you are meant to. You are. I feel like there's a big surprise coming in that you do not see, and you're not going to be able to see. I do feel like that. In the next 7 days, regardless of what the cards are saying, I really feel like that you are not gonna fail. Okay, whatever this is real. It's not just temporary. It's not just a flash in the pan. Okay, it's real. You need to be a go-getter this week in terms of your financial life, in terms of your prosperity, like in terms of your business and your career. Do not let fear keep you from operating in your power. All right, fear can be present, but it doesn't fucking matter at the end of the day. And your opponents, pray against them, rebuke them, cleanse yourself, cleanse your money, do rituals to cleanse your money and your prosperity and your material life. Cleanse that shit. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna pull for social life. Miracles in reverse for social life. And what I'm picking up is, yeah, so there's a lot of purging going on, a lot of purging of karmic timelines, a lot of purging of cursed energy is going on. We get miracles in reverse and strength in reverse. You need to admit to yourself the reality of the situations that you're in and stop having, I saw illusion out here as well, but stop having like magical thinking, okay? Like disabuse yourself of the illusions and the delusions of what is and what isn't, okay? Like, nothing is going to, if somebody has shown themselves to be a certain type of way, that's who they are, and you need to accept them for who they are. If that doesn't resonate with like the life that you want to live in terms of your social life, then you need to make some changes, whatever those look like and however those may be. And if you want more insight into that, I would really suggest going and watching the full video, because it's all right there for you. I'm not gonna I don't feel like I need to explain what's already been explained. What's understood doesn't need to be explained any further, right? But once again, at the bottom of the deck is the Star, so you need to let go of all of this fear. You know, as these things are being purged of you, always show up as the Star, even if it feels silly, even if others are looking at you like you're crazy. Who cares? There are plenty of people out there who I look at them and they're famous, and I look at them and I'm just like, what an asshat. But they're famous, they're making money, allegedly they're living their best life. You're at a crossroads in your romantic life. It's giving, should I stay or should I go? But even beyond like this, should I stay or should I go? It's like whether or not you're coupled or single. Are you gonna keep choosing the karmic, or are you gonna choose the divine counterpart? And some of you are behaving karmically. You can't let go of the past. You don't want to move on into a new, turn a new page and let the past go and try to like make things work for real and give it a real chance. You know, for some of you who are coupled, this is especially true. Someone may have made a mistake in the past and you can't let it go. Either leave them or stop that. It's time to do something new. Leave or let go, period. But you can't keep on with the same stuff from the past. You're hurting them, you're hurting yourself, and you're being an asshole. For those of you who are single, same thing applies. Like, if you want something different, you have to do things differently. I made an example of this in the main reading, so go and watch that. It's towards the end. But if you know that you want a certain type of romantic relationship, and there are things that you used to do in the past that like are not going to bring you to that relationship, don't do them. You are being presented a crossroads. There is temptation on the path. For those of you who temptation shows up in your romantic and sexual life, this is going to be potentially very challenging for you. But you know what you got to do. You got to leave that old version of yourself behind. Okay? There's a lot of illusions going on right now in the collective. You need to be observing. You need to be observing. You need to be watchful, and you need to operate from discernment. But I would encourage you not to tell anyone your plans. Make your moves silently, because there are those who are trying to sabotage you. Okay? Keep it on a need-to-know basis. Everything that's happening in the material realm is a manifestation of what's already happened in the unseen. So, as I said, there's a lot of purging going on. The further that we get away from those time periods and that energy in the unseen and closer to our divinity, especially by showing up that way, the less and less we're going to have these problems. We are divesting from the past and stepping into the new. You understand? If you know, you know. Get tested. It's not a test. It's not a test. Stop thinking of it as a test. It's just part of the journey, okay? No one's trying to pull one over on you. No one's trying to pull a fast one, all right? It's just part of the journey, okay? Keep on keeping on. I love you all truly and deeply. If this was helpful, go on and book a personal session with me, an oracle healing session or some self-sovereignty advising. The information is you know where. I love you all truly and deeply. Happy hunting.